The origins of the A-4 Skyhawk trace back to the early 1950s, during a period when the United States Navy was redefining its approach to carrier-based strike operations in the nuclear age. The Navy sought a new light attack aircraft capable of delivering nuclear ordnance while remaining small and agile enough for efficient carrier deck handling. This was an era dominated by larger, heavier designs, yet the concept championed by Douglas Aircraft's chief designer Ed Heinemann went in the opposite direction. Heinemann believed the Navy could have a high-performance, carrier-capable attack jet at a fraction of the expected size and weight. His vision called for an aircraft under 10,000 pounds empty, able to carry a nuclear weapon or conventional ordnance, and fast enough to evade interception. The project began formally in 1952 under the Navy's A-4D program. Heinemann's design principles emphasized simplicity, weight reduction, and ruggedness. The resulting concept had a delta-like wing without folding mechanisms. Its span was short enough to fit on carrier elevators without such complexity. This eliminated mechanical weight and potential points of failure, while also improving aerodynamic cleanliness. A single Pratt & Whitney J65 turbojet would provide the necessary thrust, paired with a highly efficient airframe that could achieve near supersonic performance without afterburners. The cockpit was designed for optimal visibility, and the fuselage structure allowed for easy maintenance on cramped carrier decks. The simplicity of the Skyhawk's design belied the sophistication of its mission capability. The aircraft incorporated provisions for a single Mark 7 nuclear bomb on a reinforced centerline pylon, as well as multiple hardpoints for conventional weapons. Despite being designed for nuclear strike roles, the A-4 was inherently versatile. Its low wing loading and excellent maneuverability hinted at potential in air-to-air engagements, a fact that would later become significant in both training and combat. From the outset, the Navy recognized the design's potential to replace aging piston engine attack aircraft such as the AD Sky Raider, while also competing with early jet strike platforms. Its lightweight and compact profile promised lower procurement and operational costs, an attractive proposition in an era of escalating defense budgets and complex weapons programs. The project moved rapidly from paper to prototype, with Douglas applying its proven manufacturing expertise to ensure tight tolerances and reliable systems integration. By late 1953, the Navy had approved full-scale development, confident that Heinemann's lightweight attack bomber could meet both nuclear deterrence and conventional strike needs. The streamlined program set the stage for the A-4 to enter an intense prototype phase, where its ability to fulfill the Navy's forward-leaning strike doctrine would be tested against the realities of carrier operations and Cold War mission requirements. The design philosophy that birthed the Skyhawk, speed, simplicity, and effectiveness, would prove enduring, making it one of the most iconic and longest-serving attack aircraft in naval history. The prototype phase of the A-4 Skyhawk began with remarkable speed, a direct result of Ed Heinemann's insistence on simplicity and efficiency in design. The first prototype, designated XA-4D1, rolled out of the Douglas Aircraft Company's El Segundo plant in mid-1954, barely 2 years after the program's initiation. The aircraft's compact dimensions were immediately apparent, with a wingspan of just over 27 feet and a length of 39 feet, small enough to fit comfortably on any U.S. Navy carrier deck without the need for folding wings. This was an unusual departure from most naval aircraft designs of the time, but it was a deliberate choice to reduce weight and mechanical complexity. The XA-4D1 took to the skies for its maiden flight on June 22, 1954, with test pilot Bob Rahn at the controls. The flight confirmed many of the design's theoretical advantages. The Skyhawk was agile, responsive, and capable of rapid climb rates despite lacking afterburners. The J65W2 turbojet delivered around 7,200 pounds of thrust, enough to push the aircraft close to Mach 0.9 in level flight. The clean aerodynamic profile meant it could achieve impressive performance with relatively modest power, an advantage in both operational efficiency and reliability. Flight testing revealed the Skyhawk's handling characteristics to be forgiving yet precise. Its control harmony and responsiveness earned immediate praise from test pilots. The aircraft's short takeoff roll and low landing speeds were well suited for carrier operations, and its rugged landing gear absorbed the heavy impacts of deck landings without structural issues. Even during early tests, the Skyhawk displayed the ability to carry a substantial weapons load relative to its size, with the centerline pylon reinforced for heavy ordnance such as nuclear weapons, and 2 additional underwing pylons for bombs or fuel tanks. Not all was perfect in these early flights. Engineers encountered issues with the aircraft's longitudinal stability at certain speeds, prompting adjustments to the tailplane and control systems. The engine, while reliable, had limited thrust margins, and fuel consumption required careful mission planning. Additionally, the absence of sophisticated avionics meant pilots had to rely heavily on visual navigation and manual bombing techniques, demanding high skill levels in low visibility or complex mission environments. Carrier suitability trials began soon after initial flight tests. The Skyhawk's compact size proved advantageous, allowing it to be maneuvered easily on crowded carrier decks, while its strong nose gear and main landing gear endured repeated catapult launches and arrested landings without significant mechanical failures. The lack of wing folding mechanisms sped up deck handling and reduced turnaround time between sorties. These qualities made an impression on Navy evaluators, who saw the aircraft not just as a nuclear strike platform, but as a multi-role asset for close air support, interdiction, and training. By late 1954 and early 1955, Douglas had refined the design based on test results, leading to the production standard A-4D1 configuration. The aircraft retained its minimalist philosophy: no unnecessary electronics, no radar, and a focus on keeping weight low. Its operational simplicity promised reduced maintenance workloads, an important factor for extended carrier deployments. The Navy, encouraged by the results, placed firm orders, setting the stage for the Skyhawk's rapid transition from prototype to frontline service. The prototype phase had achieved exactly what Heinemann envisioned: a lightweight, carrier-capable attack aircraft that was fast, agile, easy to operate, and capable of delivering serious firepower. With testing completed ahead of schedule, the A-4 was poised to enter service at a time when Cold War tensions demanded exactly the kind of flexibility and efficiency it could deliver. The A-4D1 Skyhawk officially entered service with the U.S. Navy in late 1956, marking the beginning of a career that would span decades and multiple conflicts. Assigned initially to Attack Squadron VA-72, Blue Hawks, the aircraft quickly demonstrated its value as a reliable light attack platform. Its small size and low operating costs allowed squadrons to field more aircraft per carrier, effectively increasing a task force's striking power without overburdening logistics. This was a critical advantage during a period when the Navy was transitioning from piston-engined attack planes to fully jet-powered strike forces. Early operational roles focused heavily on the Skyhawk's intended mission as a nuclear strike aircraft. The centerline pylon could carry a Mk-7 or Mk-12 nuclear bomb, enabling the Skyhawk to fulfill the Navy's Cold War deterrence role. Crews trained extensively for high-speed, low-altitude attack profiles designed to penetrate Soviet air defenses, deliver a nuclear payload, and escape at maximum speed. While this mission was central in planning, it soon became clear that the Skyhawk's agility, toughness, and load-carrying ability made it equally effective in conventional roles. The aircraft's integration into carrier air wings was smooth. Pilots transitioning from larger aircraft appreciated the Skyhawk's responsive controls and straightforward systems. Maintenance crews valued its accessibility. Critical components could be reached quickly without dismantling major assemblies. In exercises, the Skyhawk proved capable of rapid turnaround between sorties, sometimes launching again within 30 minutes of recovery. This operational tempo allowed carrier strike groups to sustain high sortie rates in both peacetime patrols and wartime readiness drills. By the late 1950s, the Skyhawk was deployed with both Atlantic and Pacific Fleet carriers, frequently participating in Cold War show-of-force missions. It operated in regions ranging from the Mediterranean to the Western Pacific, often flying armed patrols near potential flashpoints. During the 1958 Lebanon crisis, Skyhawks provided visible deterrence as U.S. naval forces supported stability operations in the region. Similar deployments occurred in the Taiwan Strait, where the aircraft's presence underscored American commitments to allies under threat from communist forces. The U.S. Marine Corps was quick to adopt the Skyhawk as well, recognizing its utility for close air support. Operating from shorter airstrips or forward bases, Marine Skyhawks could deliver bombs, rockets, and napalm in support of ground forces. Their small size made them harder to target, and their ability to absorb damage and remain operational built a reputation for resilience. In the training environment, the Skyhawk became a stepping stone for new attack pilots. Its predictable handling made it an excellent platform for learning carrier operations, while its performance demanded precision and discipline. The aircraft's lack of advanced automation meant pilots developed strong manual flying skills, an asset in combat where electronic systems could fail or be jammed. The early years also revealed the Skyhawk's adaptability to evolving roles. As the Navy and Marine Corps refined strike tactics, the aircraft was fitted with improved weapon racks, updated bombing computers, and more powerful versions of the Wright J-65 engine. These upgrades enhanced its performance and increased its ordnance carrying capacity without sacrificing the design's hallmark simplicity. By the dawn of the 1960s, the A-4D-1 and the improved A-4D-2 had established themselves as essential components of American naval air power. They had proven capable of fulfilling nuclear strike duties, conventional bombing missions, and close air support, all while being economical to operate. This versatility would soon be tested under the most demanding conditions, the skies over Southeast Asia, where the Skyhawk would transition from a Cold War deterrent to a combat-proven workhorse. The A-4D-1 Skyhawk officially entered service with the U.S. Navy in late 1956, marking the beginning of a career that would span decades and multiple conflicts. Assigned initially to Attack Squadron VA-72, Blue Hawks, the aircraft quickly demonstrated its value as a reliable light attack platform. Its small size and low operating costs allowed squadrons to field more aircraft per carrier, effectively increasing a task force's striking power without overburdening logistics. This was a critical advantage during a period when the Navy was transitioning from piston-engined attack planes to fully jet-powered strike forces. Early operational roles focused heavily on the Skyhawk's intended mission as a nuclear strike aircraft. The centerline pylon could carry a Mk-7 or Mk-12 nuclear bomb, enabling the Skyhawk to fulfill the Navy's Cold War deterrence role. Crews trained extensively for high-speed, low-altitude attack profiles designed to penetrate Soviet air defenses, deliver a nuclear payload, and escape at maximum speed. While this mission was central in planning, it soon became clear that the Skyhawk's agility, toughness, and load-carrying ability made it equally effective in conventional roles. The aircraft's integration into carrier air wings was smooth. Pilots transitioning from larger aircraft appreciated the Skyhawk's responsive controls and straightforward systems. Maintenance crews valued its accessibility. Critical components could be reached quickly without dismantling major assemblies. In exercises, the Skyhawk proved capable of rapid turnaround between sorties, sometimes launching again within 30 minutes of recovery. This operational tempo allowed carrier strike groups to sustain high sortie rates in both peacetime patrols and wartime readiness drills. By the late 1950s, the Skyhawk was deployed with both Atlantic and Pacific Fleet carriers, frequently participating in Cold War show-of-force missions. It operated in regions ranging from the Mediterranean to the Western Pacific, often flying armed patrols near potential flashpoints. During the 1958 Lebanon crisis, Skyhawks provided visible deterrence as U.S. naval forces supported stability operations in the region. Similar deployments occurred in the Taiwan Strait, where the aircraft's presence underscored American commitments to allies under threat from communist forces. The U.S. Marine Corps was quick to adopt the Skyhawk as well, recognizing its utility for close air support. Operating from shorter airstrips or forward bases, Marine Skyhawks could deliver bombs, rockets, and napalm in support of ground forces. Their small size made them harder to target, and their ability to absorb damage and remain operational built a reputation for resilience. In the training environment, the Skyhawk became a stepping stone for new attack pilots. Its predictable handling made it an excellent platform for learning carrier operations, while its performance demanded precision and discipline. The aircraft's lack of advanced automation meant pilots developed strong manual flying skills, an asset in combat where electronic systems could fail or be jammed. The early years also revealed the Skyhawk's adaptability to evolving roles. As the Navy and Marine Corps refined strike tactics, the aircraft was fitted with improved weapon racks, updated bombing computers, and more powerful versions of the Wright J-65 engine. These upgrades enhanced its performance and increased its ordnance carrying capacity without sacrificing the design's hallmark simplicity. By the dawn of the 1960s, the A-4D-1 and the improved A-4D-2 had established themselves as essential components of American naval air power. They had proven capable of fulfilling nuclear strike duties, conventional bombing missions, and close air support, all while being economical to operate. This versatility would soon be tested under the most demanding conditions, the skies over Southeast Asia, where the Skyhawk would transition from a Cold War deterrent to a combat-proven workhorse. The escalation of U.S. involvement in Southeast Asia during the early 1960s placed the A-4 Skyhawk directly into combat operations. Initially deployed to support advisory missions in South Vietnam, the Skyhawk soon became a frontline strike aircraft as the conflict intensified. By 1964, carrier-based Navy squadrons and land-based Marine units were flying regular sorties over hostile territory, targeting enemy supply lines, fortifications, and troop concentrations. The Skyhawk's small size and agility made it well-suited for low-level attack runs, where avoiding anti-aircraft fire depended on speed, maneuverability, and a minimal radar signature. One of the Skyhawk's defining roles in Vietnam was close air support for ground forces. Operating from carriers in the Gulf of Tonkin or forward bases in South Vietnam, Skyhawks could respond quickly to calls for firepower. Armed with a combination of general-purpose bombs, rockets, and 20mm cannons, they were capable of engaging enemy positions with precision. Pilots often flew at treetop level to deliver ordnance accurately, braving intense anti-aircraft fire and small arms fire in the process. This proximity to the battlefield earned the Skyhawk respect from infantry units, who relied on its ability to strike within minutes of request. The aircraft also took on interdiction missions, striking North Vietnamese supply routes along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. These operations demanded endurance and the ability to carry heavy payloads over long distances. The Skyhawk's simplicity and ruggedness allowed it to operate from austere runways when needed, giving commanders flexibility in deploying air power where it was most effective. Combat in Vietnam highlighted both the strengths and vulnerabilities of the Skyhawk. Its agility and small visual profile helped reduce losses, but the aircraft was not immune to the growing threat of surface-to-air missiles, SAMs, and radar-guided anti-aircraft guns. The introduction of the Soviet SA-2 guideline missile forced pilots to adapt tactics, often requiring high-speed, low-altitude ingress and egress to avoid radar lock. While these maneuvers reduced missile threats, they exposed pilots to increased small arms and anti-aircraft artillery fire. Skyhawk squadrons also participated in high-risk strike missions against heavily defended targets in North Vietnam. Operations like Rolling Thunder demanded precision and resilience as aircraft faced layered defenses, including MiG interceptors. While the Skyhawk was not designed primarily for air-to-air combat, it occasionally engaged enemy fighters, relying on its agility to evade rather than outgun opponents. Loss rates reflected the dangers of the mission. Many Skyhawks were lost to ground fire, missiles, or operational accidents in the challenging environment. Among the notable incidents was the capture of then-Commander John S. McCain III, whose A-4E was shot down over Hanoi in 1967 during a bombing mission. His capture and imprisonment underscored the risks faced daily by Skyhawk crews. Adaptations during the war included the introduction of more advanced navigation and targeting systems, as well as the integration of electronic countermeasure (ECM) pods to combat radar-guided threats. Additional armor was fitted in some cases to protect critical components from ground fire, and new weapon configurations were tested to improve mission effectiveness. The Skyhawk's performance in Vietnam solidified its reputation as a versatile and dependable attack aircraft. Despite being smaller and lighter than many of its contemporaries, it consistently delivered significant firepower under some of the most dangerous conditions of the Cold War. Its ability to operate from both carriers and land bases gave commanders tactical flexibility, while its relatively low cost ensured that losses, though significant, did not cripple operational capability. By the end of its Vietnam service, the A-4 had proven itself as more than a Cold War deterrent platform. It was a combat-tested workhorse capable of adapting to a wide range of missions. The lessons learned in Southeast Asia would influence its subsequent modifications, export success, and continued use by both the U.S. and allied nations long after the war's end. In the years following the Vietnam War, the A-4 Skyhawk underwent significant modernization and diversification, leading to the development of numerous variants that extended its operational life well into the late Cold War. The U.S. Navy and Marine Corps, recognizing the aircraft's proven combat reliability, invested in upgrades that addressed its limitations and adapted it for new mission profiles. The A-4E and A-4F variants had already been introduced during the Vietnam era, incorporating more powerful Pratt & Whitney J52 engines, improved avionics, and increased payload capacity. Post-war developments brought about even more specialized configurations. The A-4F, for instance, featured the distinctive humpback avionics fairing on its upper fuselage, which housed advanced navigation, communication, and electronic countermeasure systems. This design change improved survivability against evolving radar and missile threats, a necessity as the global air defense environment became more sophisticated. Training also became a prominent role for the Skyhawk. The TA-4J two-seat trainer variant was produced in large numbers, providing carrier landing training and advanced strike instruction for generations of naval aviators. Its handling characteristics, similar to frontline models, made it an ideal platform for bridging the gap between basic jet training and operational fleet aircraft. Many pilots who later flew advanced fighters such as the F-14 Tomcat or FA-18 Hornet began their carrier qualification on a Skyhawk. International demand for the A-4 grew rapidly, leading to extensive export programs. Nations such as Israel, Argentina, Singapore, New Zealand, and Malaysia purchased or licensed the Skyhawk, often requesting custom modifications tailored to their regional defense needs. The Israeli Air Force, for example, acquired A-4Hs and A-4Ns, which were upgraded with extended-range fuel tanks, modernized weapon systems, and reinforced airframes. These aircraft played major roles in conflicts such as the Yom Kippur War, where they conducted intense strike operations against well-defended targets. Argentina's acquisition of the Skyhawk led to one of its most notable Cold War combat performances during the 1982 Falklands War. The Argentine Navy and Air Force deployed A-4Bs and A-4Cs in daring low-altitude attacks against British naval forces. Despite the aircraft's age and the formidable defenses of the Royal Navy, Argentine Skyhawk pilots inflicted significant damage, most famously sinking HMS Coventry and HMS Antelope. These missions demonstrated that even decades after its introduction, the A-4 remained a credible strike platform in the hands of skilled pilots. Technological upgrades continued across multiple operators. Avionics improvements, compatibility with modern guided munitions, and structural reinforcements allowed the Skyhawk to carry precision-guided bombs and advanced air-to-surface missiles. Some later versions incorporated radar warning receivers, chaff and flare dispensers, and enhanced targeting systems, bringing the aging design into alignment with late 20th century combat requirements. The U.S. Marine Corps found continued utility in the Skyhawk's ability to operate from short, rugged runways, aligning with its expeditionary mission doctrine. Skyhawks served in forward-deployed units well into the 1980s, often as close air support aircraft for Marine ground forces. In the U.S. Navy, the aircraft transitioned from front-line strike missions to roles such as adversary training, simulating enemy aircraft in dissimilar air combat training. This role capitalized on the Skyhawk's agility and small profile, which could mimic the flight characteristics of Soviet fighters. By the 1990s, many Skyhawks in U.S. service had been retired or transferred to reserve and training units, but internationally they continued to see frontline action. Some countries even initiated local upgrade programs, extending service lives into the 21st century. Singapore's A4SU Super Skyhawk program, for instance, replaced the original engine with a non-afterburning General Electric F404, upgraded avionics, and improved cockpit ergonomics, transforming the aircraft into a modern light attack jet capable of meeting contemporary threats. The adaptability of the A-4's design ensured its relevance across multiple decades, roles, and combat environments. Its transition from a frontline attack jet to a trainer, adversary aircraft, and export success story underscored the foresight of its original engineering and the value of incremental modernization in military aviation. The A-4 Skyhawk's global impact and enduring legacy are rooted in its exceptional adaptability, cost-effectiveness, and combat record. Designed in the early 1950s with simplicity and reliability as guiding principles, it proved to be one of the most versatile naval aircraft in aviation history. Over the decades, it served not only the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps, but also more than half a dozen foreign air forces, shaping military aviation strategies well beyond American borders. Its relatively low acquisition and maintenance costs made it attractive to smaller nations seeking modern jet capabilities, without the heavy logistical burden of larger, more complex aircraft. For these countries, the Skyhawk provided a credible strike and close air support platform that could operate from short or makeshift runways, deploy a wide range of ordnance, and integrate into diverse tactical doctrines. This accessibility meant that nations such as Argentina, Israel, and Singapore could field capable air arms without the expense of high-end supersonic fighters. The Skyhawk's combat history further cemented its reputation. In Israel, it became a workhorse during the Yom Kippur War, flying hundreds of sorties under intense anti-aircraft fire and suffering heavy losses while delivering decisive strikes. Israeli pilots lauded the aircraft for its responsiveness, maneuverability, and ability to absorb damage and still return to base. In Argentina, the Falklands War demonstrated that even older variants could penetrate modern naval defenses through aggressive, low-level attack tactics. These high-profile combat successes gave the Skyhawk a near-mythic status among operators and adversaries alike. Beyond combat, the A-4 influenced military training and tactical development. Its use as an adversary aircraft in U.S. Navy Top Gun and other air combat training programs helped shape the skills of multiple generations of fighter pilots. The Skyhawk's small radar cross-section, nimble handling, and rapid acceleration in certain flight regimes allowed it to effectively simulate Soviet-era MiG-17s and MiG-21s, providing realistic training scenarios for more advanced fighters. Technologically, while the Skyhawk was never a platform for groundbreaking new systems, it embodied the philosophy of incremental, practical upgrades. Its airframe proved highly adaptable to new avionics, weapons, and mission equipment, ensuring it could evolve with changing operational needs. This upgrade potential extended its service life far beyond that of many contemporaries, allowing it to remain relevant well into the 1990s and even the 2000s in some air forces. Culturally, the A-4 became an icon of Cold War naval aviation, appearing in films, documentaries, and literature. Its distinctive delta-like wing, compact size, and history of high-risk missions gave it a symbolic association with daring naval operations. For veterans, the Skyhawk often evokes memories of intense carrier deck operations, high-G maneuvers, and precision strike missions in some of the most challenging combat environments of the 20th century. Today, retired Skyhawks occupy prominent places in aviation museums worldwide, from the USS Midway Museum in San Diego to the Israel Air Force Museum in Hatzerim. Several remain in private hands, operated by civilian contractors who use them for training and research. In some countries, upgraded versions still perform limited military roles, a testament to the aircraft's enduring utility. The A-4 Skyhawk story is ultimately one of remarkable longevity. Conceived as a lightweight, affordable attack jet for Cold War carrier operations, it exceeded its initial mission parameters and became a multi-role aircraft used in wars across multiple continents. Its legacy endures not only in preserved examples, but also in the tactical lessons it imparted, the training it provided, and the influence it had on the design of later light strike aircraft. Among the lesser-known chapters of the A-4 Skyhawk's career are its roles in research, experimental projects, and operations that never received the same attention as its combat history. These activities often took place behind closed doors, under classified programs, or in contexts that did not fit the typical narrative of frontline service. They revealed just how far the aircraft's adaptability could be stretched and how it contributed to areas far beyond conventional strike missions. One of the Skyhawk's more unusual uses came in the field of carrier suitability testing. Because of its compact size and rugged landing gear, the A-4 was selected to trial new carrier arresting systems, catapult designs, and deck configurations. These tests informed changes in U.S. Navy carrier operations throughout the Cold War, helping to refine procedures that would later be applied to heavier and more advanced aircraft. In some cases, A-4s were even used to validate emergency recovery systems, simulating extreme approach conditions to assess deck crew safety measures. The Skyhawk also played a discrete role in electronic warfare experimentation. Modified airframes were equipped with prototype jamming pods, radar detection systems, and signal relay equipment. While not all of these trials led to operational variants, they provided critical data on integrating electronic countermeasure suites into smaller, single-seat aircraft, knowledge that influenced subsequent designs. In the realm of weapons development, the A-4 was often used as a testbed for new munitions, ranging from precision-guided bombs to air-to-surface missiles. Its straightforward systems and predictable handling characteristics made it a safe and reliable platform for evaluating novel ordnance before it was introduced to the fleet. Some Skyhawks were even adapted for trials involving nuclear delivery tactics, refining low-altitude penetration and toss-bombing profiles in the early nuclear strike doctrine. International operators also developed their own unique adaptations. For example, the Royal New Zealand Air Force experimented with advanced targeting pods on their upgraded A-4Ks, while Israel integrated indigenous avionics that were decades ahead of the original design. Some of these enhancements remained proprietary and never entered U.S. service, showing how the Skyhawk could be tailored to specific national doctrines. There were also covert missions that remain only partially documented. Declassified fragments suggest that Skyhawks were involved in reconnaissance and maritime surveillance roles under special operations frameworks, particularly in regions where more conspicuous aircraft would have drawn political attention. The aircraft's small size and relatively quiet profile at certain altitudes made it a suitable choice for low-visibility patrols over contested waters. Even after its formal retirement from many frontline roles, the Skyhawk found new life as an aerial target drone in the form of the QF-4 and later privately operated adversary fleets. Civilian contractors flying refurbished A-4s continued to provide dissimilar air combat training to U.S. and Allied pilots, ensuring the aircraft's tactical DNA lived on well into the 21st century. In the end, these hidden chapters underscore the Skyhawk's unmatched flexibility. It was a jet born of minimalist design philosophy, yet it proved capable of fulfilling missions far beyond what its creators envisioned. From classified trials to underreported deployments, the A-4 Skyhawk story extends into the shadows of Cold War aviation, where it quietly influenced technology, tactics, and strategic thinking. The A-4 Skyhawk's retirement from frontline service was gradual, shaped by the evolution of aerial combat requirements and the increasing complexity of modern warfare. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, fourth-generation fighters such as the F/A-18 Hornet and F-16 Fighting Falcon began to take over roles the Skyhawk once dominated. These newer aircraft brought advanced radar systems, beyond visual range missiles, and superior speed and agility, making them better suited for emerging threats and multi-role demands. Still, the Skyhawk remained relevant in specialized missions, particularly in training and light strike roles, long after newer jets had entered service. In the U.S. Navy, the aircraft's gradual phase-out began in the mid-1980s, with carrier-based attack squadrons transitioning to the A-7 Corsair II and later the Hornet. However, the A-4 continued to serve in the Navy's adversary training units, where its agility and small radar cross-section made it an ideal stand-in for potential enemy aircraft. Pilots valued the Skyhawk's responsiveness and challenge in simulated dogfights, as it demanded precise flying skills and punished sloppy maneuvers. Internationally, the Skyhawk's career extended well beyond its U.S. retirement. In Israel, it remained in frontline use into the 21st century, serving in multiple conflicts, including operations in Lebanon. The Israeli Air Force valued the A-4 for its low operating costs, ease of maintenance, and suitability for precision ground attack missions. Argentina also kept the type in service for decades, with modernized A-4AR Fighting Hawks upgraded with new avionics, radars, and weapon systems. These extended service lives prove that, in the right context, the Skyhawk could remain an effective platform despite its age. The aircraft's presence in the Royal New Zealand Air Force became a point of national debate when the government decided to retire the fleet in the early 2000s without replacement. The move effectively ended New Zealand's combat air capability, but it also underscored the Skyhawk's long-term durability, having served the nation for over 3 decades with consistent reliability. In training roles, the Skyhawk proved invaluable. It served as an advanced jet trainer, bridging the gap between basic training aircraft and high-performance fighters. The TA-4 two-seat variants allowed instructors to mentor pilots in real time, honing their skills in navigation, air combat, and weapons delivery before moving on to more complex jets. Even as active military service dwindled, private companies acquired retired Skyhawks for contract adversary training, electronic warfare simulation, and research flights. These civilian-operated jets still flew aggressive maneuvers in mock combat against modern fighters, a testament to the airframe's enduring capabilities. In museums and air shows, the Skyhawk holds a special place among Cold War-era aircraft. Its small size, distinctive delta-shaped wing, and combat record make it instantly recognizable to aviation enthusiasts. Restored examples continue to fly at heritage events, showcasing the jet's nimbleness and preserving its legacy for future generations. Ultimately, the A-4 Skyhawk's exit from active duty did not mark the end of its influence. The lessons learned from its design, simplicity, ruggedness, and versatility remain benchmarks in combat aircraft engineering. It demonstrated that a small, efficient aircraft could deliver significant combat power, shaping the philosophies behind later light attack and multi-role designs. Its long service across continents and conflicts cements the Skyhawk's reputation as one of the most successful naval aircraft of its era, a machine that more than lived up to its scooter nickname by proving small jets could achieve big results. Beyond its well-documented combat history, the A-4 Skyhawk's story contains numerous lesser-known chapters that reveal the aircraft's versatility and adaptability in roles far removed from its original mission profile. One of the most notable examples was its use as an airborne platform for testing new weapons and avionics. In the 1960s and 1970s, several A-4 airframes were modified to trial advanced guided munitions, electronic countermeasures, and targeting systems that would later be integrated into other aircraft types. Its straightforward construction and ample hardpoints made it an ideal flying laboratory for such experiments. The Skyhawk also played a role in U.S. nuclear deterrence strategy during the height of the Cold War. Select carrier-based squadrons trained for the delivery of tactical nuclear weapons, and the aircraft's small size and high maneuverability made it a surprisingly capable nuclear strike platform for its class. Although these missions were never carried out in combat, the inclusion of the A-4 in nuclear planning reflected the flexibility military strategists saw in the design. In addition to its high-profile combat users, the Skyhawk served in unexpected corners of the aviation world. For example, the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps employed A-4s for carrier qualification training well after the type's withdrawal from frontline squadrons. The jet's forgiving handling, predictable landing characteristics, and rugged undercarriage made it ideal for teaching new naval aviators the demanding skill of arrested carrier landings. Several nations experimented with the Skyhawk in unique ways. Singapore, for instance, used the aircraft as a cost-effective means to train pilots for supersonic fighters, investing in extensive upgrades to extend service life and improve avionics. Brazil integrated the Skyhawk into its naval aviation wing, operating them from aircraft carriers well into the 21st century, one of the few nations to maintain carrier-capable A-4s for such an extended period. The aircraft's adaptability even extended to unmanned operations. In the late Cold War era, a number of retired Skyhawks were converted into QF-4 target drones, used for live-fire missile tests and air-to-air training. These remotely piloted A-4s allowed pilots of newer fighters to engage a realistic maneuvering target without risk to human life, further demonstrating the platform's utility long after its original mission set had evolved. Skyhawks also participated in specialized research missions, such as studying aircraft carrier deck operations in extreme sea states, testing high-altitude flight suits, and evaluating low-visibility approach aids. In some cases, NASA and private aerospace companies leased Skyhawks to act as chase planes for experimental aircraft or rocket launches, using their reliability and performance for visual tracking and photography. Veterans who flew and maintained the Skyhawk often remark on its toughness and straightforward nature. Many described it as an aircraft that could be maintained under harsh field conditions without the extensive logistical tail required by more complex jets. These qualities endeared it not only to pilots but also to ground crews, who often became just as attached to the scooter as the aviators themselves. Today, the lesser-known missions of the A-4 help explain why it remained in service for over half a century across multiple continents. Its ability to adapt to unconventional roles, absorb modifications, and excel in environments far removed from its initial design parameters stands as a testament to the vision of its designers. These hidden chapters enrich the legacy of an aircraft that proved a killer, not just in combat, but in versatility, challenging the boundaries of what a small attack jet could achieve in the vast arena of military aviation. The legacy of the A-4 Skyhawk is defined not only by its combat record, but by its enduring influence on military aviation strategy, aircraft design, and pilot training. From its first flight in the mid-1950s to its continued use by some air forces into the 21st century, the Skyhawk carved a unique niche as a light attack jet that delivered consistent performance across decades of rapid technological change. One of the aircraft's most significant contributions was in demonstrating the effectiveness of small, cost-efficient strike platforms in an era increasingly dominated by larger, more complex jets. The Skyhawk's ability to carry a wide range of ordnance from conventional bombs to advanced guided munitions without requiring heavy airframes or powerful engines influenced subsequent attack aircraft design philosophies. Nations facing budget limitations or without access to cutting-edge fighters saw in the A-4 a practical alternative that could still deliver credible combat capability. In training, the Skyhawk proved invaluable. Many U.S. Navy and Marine Corps aviators earned their carrier qualifications in the aircraft, and its predictable handling made it a natural stepping stone toward more advanced fleet fighters. For the U.S. Air Force and foreign operators, the Skyhawk served as an effective advanced trainer, helping prepare pilots for supersonic combat jets. Its use in the U.S. Navy's Top Gun program as an adversary aircraft further cemented its reputation. The Skyhawk's agility allowed it to simulate the performance of smaller, nimble enemy fighters, giving American pilots realistic, dissimilar air combat training. Internationally, the Skyhawk's export success strengthened military partnerships. Nations like Israel, Argentina, New Zealand, Singapore, and Brazil adapted the type to their specific operational needs, often upgrading avionics, weapon systems, and structural components. These modifications extended service life and kept the aircraft relevant against increasingly modern threats. The Falklands War in 1982 proved that, in the hands of skilled pilots, the Skyhawk could remain a dangerous opponent even against more advanced adversaries. The aircraft's retirement from U.S. frontline service in the 1990s did not mark the end of its operational life. Reserve units, foreign air forces, and private military contractors continued to use Skyhawks for roles ranging from combat readiness training to target simulation. The aircraft's simple design and ease of maintenance made it attractive for operators who needed reliable performance without excessive operating costs. In museums and air shows, preserved Skyhawks now serve as reminders of an era when a small, lightweight attack aircraft could stand shoulder to shoulder with far larger and more expensive machines. Their distinctive silhouette, delta-like wing, and compact frame remain instantly recognizable to aviation enthusiasts. For many veterans, the Skyhawk represents a blend of practicality and combat effectiveness that is rare in modern aircraft design. Ultimately, the A-4 Skyhawk story is one of adaptability, durability, and strategic relevance. It proved that size alone does not determine an aircraft's impact on history, and that thoughtful engineering can create a platform capable of thriving in roles far beyond those envisioned by its designers. From carrier decks in the Pacific to air bases in the Middle East and South America, the Skyhawk left an indelible mark on Cold War and post-Cold War air power, earning its place as one of the most iconic and successful light attack aircraft ever built.